Is this the first time we've ever redone a podcast?
I think so. It only took what, 94 tries?
So technically, yeah, this is the episode known as 94, but it is to everybody else is 93. Wow.
Was it really? Oh, I made that number up, but that was right. Huh. Wow.
hmm Yeah.
Good
That's
deal.
that's something. Well,
Do you want to explain why we're doing that?
well, I can. We recorded this on we recorded another episode that'll actually never air. We had two special guests. Um we talked a lot about uncertainty because we were all alive and aware of the last election and how long it took for stuff to occur. And this year, you woke up and you found out. So, I we said, hey, we should probably redo this because we talked a whole lot about certain uncertainty, and we probably won't know until Saturday. And instead, we got a Wednesday middle finger to the face. So, welcome to the Could Be Better podcast, and we're a little down.
What a great introduction. What a great monologue that was. That really moves our country forward, you know. You did a great job there. But I think it was overnight. By the time everybody woke up on Wednesday, it was over, right? When did you wake up, Chris?
I I woke up at 5:15 to a crying baby who was hitting me in the face, telling me that he's ready to get up. And then we went back and I took him back to his room and I lay down on the floor and slept for another bit. And I hallucinated about what if I didn't check my phone ever? And we were just in a constant state of election flux. And then around 6:30, I checked my phone and saw that the former president won again.
That was interesting that she didn't speak. She didn't speak last night. She spoke today. Did you watch that?
And by today, you mean Wednesday, correct?
That's
Yeah.
true. Yes.
I think it's probably I don't know. It's hard watching. So I watched The Daily Show, John's
Oh,
extravaganza thing
how
today on
was that?
Wednesday.
I did not see that.
Yeah, it's on the YouTube because it was like a special for Paramount Plus only, and I don't like Paramount Plus and don't care for anything that's on there. But
Wow.
um, Yellowstone's just overrated, guys. Sorry,
Hot
but again,
take.
isn't that is Trump's America though, right? Like it's probably the people that love that show voted for him twice, so it's fine. I'm just very very just not into westerns unless there's like sci-fi. So then sign me up for
Get out.
um
No, not get
no,
out. What was the
Outer Range with Josh Brolin. That was awesome, but
uh
Amazon canceled it. Anyway, so I um what was your question?
how the Jon Stewart thing was?
Oh, it was weird to watch him interview some guy from Michigan and him being so confident that we're gonna win. And I get it. Everyone's got to lie and everyone's got to like posture because maybe your name will get called on a short list when the president's too old and they need somebody younger to come in and you have to find a running mate really fast. You look for people that have, posture and charisma and a bullshit meter, I guess. So this
Whoa.
guy from Michigan was like, "Yeah, we're so confident," blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh man, if only that guy knew what I know now," which is this isn't gonna work out the way he thinks it does. And so I couldn't watch that. But the monologue was good. It's kind of just this sense of like, you know, optimism, but also in the same way that John does optimism, which is also very cynical, but also in the sense of making sure people know it's like, hey, like, yeah, this makes things a lot harder and there's a lot of uncertainty and it's not the person we wanted, but there's still work to be done, is kind of what the mantra has been from all the camps. And I hear that. It is just also a little tough.
Does anybody believe in that?
Right in, folks. If you do, we want to have you on the air. Um,
Well, let's
yeah, it's
open up the phone lines. We'll go to Demetrius.
yeah.
Um,
Which I'm excited to get into it with him next week. That'll be interesting.
yeah. We should tell the people about that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, Demetrius is coming on next week. It's gonna be a blast. He's got a couple shows towards he's rounding out his year, and they're all cool. He does a lot of stuff with Baspy at uh, Del Delizia Cafe downtown, right next to JoJo's, and they're doing all sorts of cool things, and they're always free shows, and they're always bumping. So, we're gonna get into all the things, what he's up to, what's next, and maybe we'll get some hot takes because nobody.
Oh.
Nobody but Demetrius gives the best hot takes.
Um, how is your you we were texting a little last night and it was later than I thought it would be when you texted me, "Oh, I'm gonna start drinking now." So how did your night end up going? Was that did you were like, I need to drink to go to sleep or else I'm going to be up all night obsessing over this? How did that go for you?
Yeah, let me see. Let me see what time I texted you. It was, and this is super interesting. Here it is. 9:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's at the point where, hey, the bigger states and the bigger counties that are going red are super fast to go. And so he was like up by like 100 electoral votes. And it's like, this is the weirdest thing to see somebody be down that much. And like all the big major cities weren't called. It's like, hey, it's all fine. Apple released the super cool anxiety-inducing thing called live activities, where you got to watch the election. You could have it on your screen. So every time there was an update, there was a thing. And so I got
What?
like a play-by-play of um, everything, and it was I was informed, but I am not happy about that I did it. So um,
Yeah,
anyway,
that sounds like torture.
yeah, it was pretty bad. Also, it is 6:50 p.m. Eastern time on this page for the Washington Post that I'm looking at, and maybe that's a canceled newspaper now at this point, but the District 6 for Maryland still has not been called.
Yeah.
McLean Delaney's only leading by 315 votes, but it says 84% of votes are counted, but like that doesn't feel right. So it's just I don't know. Everything's super close, everything's really insane. It's weird to think that we live in such like Frederick is such a purple spot now. It always has been kind of leaning that way. I mean, let's be honest. Maybe a certain guest we have next week got asked if his music had cursing before he played the Frederick Eagles Club. So again, like racism
Is that
is alive.
true?
Yeah, it's alive and well. So we know kind of where we're at on um, things, but when you kind of get it hit in the face a little bit, you realize, oh man, we're not as far away of things as I saw. And I think the highlight for me, and by the highlight I mean the low light, but one of like the things I took away from John's final thought was every election they say something that's super definitive, prescriptive, and insightful. That they say if this could only happen, then this would be the plan. So 2008. They said that the racial divide might be coming to a close with Barack Obama becoming the president, and that lasted like one day, right? And then it was like, nope, we had a whole lot of stuff happen from 2008 until yesterday, and then it said after um, Trump won the first time in 2016, they're like, oh, you know what, this can't this the Democrats need to have a younger person, a more current person. And who do they pick? Joe Biden. It's like, and then it's like, oh, well, you know what they need to do? They need to be able to like, talk about the economy and be able to do these things because they need to find somebody else that does this thing. And then it's like, it's Kamala Harris. And so it's just tough where, um, it is nice to be a political pundit because you have hindsight. You have a great writer's room. You have a super insightful and eager fan base that's looking to you for quote unquote news slash entertainment. And it's really frustrating where people think they actually know things and they don't. They're just
So
like us.
are you where do you fall on this sort of idea that the legacy media is now done? I know your boy Elon Musk is out
Mhm.
there talking. I mean, this whole campaign I feel was one big infomercial for Twitter, and that's
Ugh.
why he got so involved because he really thinks that he can make Twitter into He bought the campaign. I mean, he bought the campaign for Trump. He really did.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you might log on there, but he's just been incessant
Y-
across all platforms. So
Yeah,
it's like, how much does this make you say I'm done with newspapers? I'm done with legacy media, especially after Jeff Bezos kind of came out today and congratulated Donald Trump.
yeah. So three things. So yeah, drinking then was for me is like, hey, I just needed to kind of calm down and center a little bit. So I watched some TV and had a drink, and then I went to bed, and it was very nice. Second thing
Oh,
from
I'm
it is
glad you
very
clarified that. I thought you were face down in a pool of Jack Daniels.
Yep. And then the other interesting thing is I have not been on Twitter since Elon blocked the API for people to use it in a way that's meaningful. So I've not been on that cesspool in a long time. But when you buy, um, uh, and if you buy a company, you get to tell these people to do whatever you want. You can pretend that it's free press or free speech or whatever. But then when you boost your own post to get more likes and more followers in front of more people because of insecurities, then for me, I'm out. So I've not been on Twitter for a long time. I think Twitter is really bad now. Censorship is really bad. I will never allow my kid to get on Twitter ever. I do think Twitter is just now the right leaning tool that Reddit is for the left because Reddit's super liberal. So that's just kind of what it is. Now, to answer your question of like, it's interesting you said legacy media and then you said Twitter. I don't know if those are the same thing. Do
No, they
you?
aren't. That's not what I said. I'm saying that people are taking to that platform to say legacy media is dead,
Ah,
and that's what there's a part of me that really thinks um, Mr. Egon was um, was really trying to sell this idea that media, like he. All right, let's back up.
yeah.
He he bought Twitter at a bad price. We all know that.
Yes.
And he thought he'd get a deal on it. He didn't. He ended up overspending. He got it and then he thought, how can I make some money off of this? And I'm not saying that this was always in place from the beginning, but there's a possibility that you could see him say, how do we make money on this? Well, we start to brand ourselves as the new age media. That
Sure.
legacy media just doesn't work, and it's propaganda, and it's you can't trust it. It goes on and on and on. Like that's the soapbox he's been on now for months. So you say that, you say, well, citizen journalists, now you have real journalism. You can report the news. You can say this. You can do this. You can do everything. And if you vote one way, you won't be able to do that there, which I don't even recall. I don't know how you can um, conclude that Kamala Harris was trying to, you know, get rid of free speech, but they all had their reasons on that side of the aisle to sort of paint how free speech would be gone. So it's like keep free speech open. Don't believe the New York Times. Don't believe the Washington Post. Don't believe any news networks. Go out there and talk about it and just be your own sort of checks and balances, which works real well, right? With the human race. Oh, we're so great at checking and balancing each other. But and then he
Yeah, and
and I think that this was like this whole thing was sort of related in this way. It's like, okay, he had a vision for Twitter. He's made it that vision, and he paid for it because he essentially bought this presidency for Donald Trump.
yeah. Yeah. I it's interesting. I don't like the only subscription I have for I used to subscribe to the Frederick News Post, but I do not anymore. But the only subscription I pay for reading anything now is the New York Times. Um, but I don't think I don't know, Colin, do you think journalism is dead?
I don't think it is. I think that that's sort of the narrative that that helped this specific moment. I think I think Elon Musk preached that in his own way, and a lot of people bought into that. But I also think, and it's the same thing too, and I don't want to get into the weeds with this, but I think it's kind of the same thing for the Democratic Party. It's almost the same thing for the media. Like you really have to rethink this. You have to rethink the way that you approach a lot of this stuff. At some point, something changed. At some point, a switch happened. A switch was turned, and you had the ability. Then it was like Donald Trump is out here breaking all the rules, all the political conventions, and a lot of people bought into it. And still,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of people have been saying this for the last, I don't know, decade or so. The Democratic Party is not equipped or has not been equipped to go break rules in the same ways Donald Trump has. It's like you saw some of those rallies where Tim Walz would, cuss. He would say bullshit or something, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, you never heard that before." It's like you're still 15 years behind the ball
Yeah.
on that. So I don't think anything is dead necessarily, but I think somebody needs there has to be a counterpart when it comes both to politics and media. To Donald Trump, there has to be somebody on the left side of the aisle that can stand up and figure out a way to grab a nation, I guess.
Yeah. I think there's also, we talk about being polarizing more than ever before, and then our current setting president calls Trump supporters garbage people, essentially, right? And so it's like that's hard. That doesn't really help. Um, you have a sense of Trump really, I only thought was catering to his people and just doubling down, but I guess he grabbed way more support in the last 8 years than expected. So that was kind of a shock. And so now it's going to be interesting to see some of the up and comers on the left. It's another polarization of a lot of things, and there's like extremism, and people are finding ways. It's like just guys, we had our chance with Bernie, and we all screwed it up. So I
Yeah,
think
there's a
let's.
lot of that today. Yeah, there's a lot of that, which isn't unfair. To the point you just made, I do think there were a lot of people who simply didn't know Kamala Harris. They knew her as,
Did,
you know what I
did you
mean?
see?
Like
Did you see the Google trend that came out that was a headline?
no.
That there was a spike in Google searches on election day saying, "Did Joe Biden like why is Joe Biden not on the ticket?"
I mean, yeah, that's how that goes. Like I think she was she was the vice president, for an administration that if you just look, you have to look at the lowest common denominator for the entire country. So there are way more people who simply say, I go to the gas station and gas prices are higher than they were before.
Right.
And I know that under this guy, gas prices were smaller. So, like you combine that with the idea of Kamala Harris not necessarily being a personality that a lot of people know, and you had all those right-wing broadcasts and all like the Joe
Yeah.
Rogans of the world who quote unquote invited her to be on the podcast. Elon Musk went on, JD Vance went on, Donald Trump went on, and they say, well, we extended the invitation. Kamala Harris would not come on. I understand she did Saturday Night Live this past weekend, but it didn't. I mean,
Yeah.
the idea in this world today that Saturday Night Live has the most, it just doesn't. This generation of people, they don't care about SNL the way they used
Yeah.
to, and that appearance doesn't hold as much weight as it used to.
Yeah. Didn't Kanye West, the influencer, not the rapper, because I put that to bed. Kanye West, the influencer, didn't he come down to Knoxville, Maryland to do a podcast with some far right guy? So it's like we're in a phase now where it's like it's not. I don't know. It's like does the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God still hold the weight that it does? And I think the answer for that is yes, but that's different, right? But then it's like okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
Very
the
interesting.
Breakfast Club. Yeah, the Breakfast Club's an interesting one because that I don't really understand. I didn't understand a lot of this. Like you had so many celebrities. This is this was the first thing that popped into my head today, this morning when I was reading about the election. Taylor Swift is the biggest pop star in the world. If she asked 100 million people to jump into the Red Sea, they would jump into the Red Sea. That's what they would do.
Mhm.
And what's so odd to me about that is she came out, a couple months ago, she endorsed Kamala Harris. She had that sort of clever little line about single cat lady, childless cat lady, that whole thing. And it meant nothing. Like it meant nothing in terms of how people voted. It didn't matter. It didn't really move the needle at the time. It did, and I think Donald Trump said something like he hated Taylor Swift. He put some message out there on his social media. If you have it would be like the Beatles coming out and saying we really
Right.
like Bill Clinton, and then Bill Clinton not being
Win.
president. Like I just the way that this stuff works anymore, nobody knows the rules.
No, and then you have people that say that they do and they feel confident on this other stuff, and it's just to get a headline, just to get some more ratings, just to get traction, just to get interaction, and it's just the worst. So I I could not do politics as my job, at least in at that stage. I don't think I would want to. I think I'd have a hard time living with myself, but I'm glad there's people that do, and I'm glad that some people do make a difference. And for folks that voted and feel good about the fact that they voted, hold on to that as long as you can, because I don't think we're in for it, but I do think there's a lot. Well, I don't know. I feel worse about this this next stretch than I did before. And I was not stoked to vote for Joe, but I did anyway. So anyway,
Well,
um, well, um,
I guess we're out of time.
no, well, so I guess
Let's see.
here's my thing. If we don't know anything, obviously, so MSNBC, Fox News, if you want to hire us, we're just as good as your people. Less makeup. Um, but I would say if anybody needs anything, if anybody needs to talk, reach out. I'm sure you have plenty of people in your, and I mean this in a sincere way, but in your social media echo chambers where you feel comfortable with the people that you're sharing stuff with, and people are reacting, and y'all can reach out and feel connection and feel care. But if you don't, and you are on Mastodon or Threads, and nobody likes or engages with your messages or anything like that, and you need somebody to talk to, we will respond. So shoot us a message or either an email, um, and whatever, and we'll write back. So we're not booking shows in 2025, so our email inbox is pretty pretty empty right now. It feels kind of amazing. So we have room. If you need to talk, we're here. And thanks for listening. It's kind of a weird week. So if anybody ever listens this week, we'll see what happens. Now, Colin, I think for me, um, I don't want to gloss over the, oh, this bad thing for certain people has happened, so let's ignore it. But I do have a couple non-political questions for you. Um, the first is, are you excited to start paying more for stuff because tariffs are now going to impact the price of everything that we have?
I dedicated increasing my internet speed to that very notion. I am, I hope tariffs make its way to Xfinity. Comcast is full of shit, by the way. Let's put this out there. Sponsor of
Yeah.
the show,
God, if Comcast
Comcast.
sponsored us, I don't know. Like, there are nice things I can say about them, but there's not a lot of it.
No, well, if you found one, that's two more than I could. Um,
Uh, I can understand
I
my bill.
I get, you know what? I can't justify it because it's all shit. It's like there's two cans and a piece of string connecting this internet here in this house. Um, my non uh uh sad question to you is that because this is lost now, but last week you got to run sound for Mr. Husband and you got to run sound um for a show that I really was hoping to get to and it didn't happen and you said it was a lot of fun, right?
It was a lot of fun. It was Mr. Husband, Silent Hill Mountains in Anna PS. And so Anna has been playing shows for us since we were doing the Old Mother Artist Showcase on Tuesday nights that we inherited from Jamie. And so we are. It was very cool to get Anna on a show that was all originals. That was not a covers show or just a covers gig, and it was great because we got to pay Anna pretty well. So it was nice.
And it was
I think
Andrew's, was it Andrew's birthday this week?
Andrew's birthday was November 5th. So what a day, what a time.
It was Joe's birthday this week too,
And it was
so we should
Joe's
say
birthday on Sunday, I believe. So it would have been
yes.
November 3rd. So whole lot of celebrating friends, and I can get behind that and drink to that. So shout out to Joe and Andrew. Happy birthday, guys. Love you both tons and tons and tons. But then yeah, the Mountains played. Colin Schultenberg was on drums. It was a ton of fun. It was really cool. Um,
Wait, Pat wasn't there.
Pat was getting ready for a wedding expo with him and Angela. They were
Oh,
doing some stuff. It was pretty cool. Yeah. So
the
they
Frederick News Post Wedding Expo. That's what it was.
yes, the big one.
Wow.
So, which makes sense, and it was good. And I've not had any of Pat's food yet, but he has offered me to partake in eating it every time I talk to him. But I need to
Why are
change it.
you not, yeah, why are you not selling that sponsorship? Like we could have catering.
And then Mr. Husband came on and played, and it was the
That's,
best. New bass player, killer sound.
he has his
Uh,
brother with him now too, right? Kenny does.
what's his brother? I think it's his brother-in-law.
Oh, really? I thought playing keys. Does he have somebody in keys?
Nobody doing keys, at least for this
Okay.
show. So yeah, but then
Okay.
there was a guy named Todd from Baltimore that did cello, and he was awesome. And it was a really sweet moment. And it's one I got to take a couple um deep breaths of perspective of being like, man, I'm really glad I get to do sound for shows like these because this is a lot of fun. And then as soon as that breath kind of exhales, and I kind of feel that moment of gratitude and just like uh joy that this is just existing, then I'm like, yeah, and I'm also glad that like we don't have too many of them left. So it's um yeah, it's weird kind of holding it all loosely. But I'm excited for the last two shows I have. And it's interesting you brought up Taylor Swift because tickets are on sale now for Sad Girls Night at Old Mother Brewing Company on Taylor Swift's birthday. So real ones know. December the 13th. It's a Friday. So not only is it a spooky day, it's her birthday. And I think you said, Colin, she has a book coming out or something.
She does. Yeah, it's a tour book. Yeah, a tour book is sort of the, I think it's going to be the last piece of merch that she puts out for this whole thing. I hope where it's
Yeah.
enough. It's enough, but yeah, she's said that. I think it might even be out. It's a Target exclusive, I believe.
Who doesn't love Tarjay? Um, so it's going to be Sullivan is Dead. It's some the first band that I played a show with was this band called Brian Severn and those Victorious, and their singer and girlfriend at the time, wife now, they started this band called Sullivan is Dead, and so they are playing a full band set of Taylor Swift songs. It's going to be a mixture of a bunch of stuff. No set list, no surprises, unless you pay me hundreds and hundreds of dollars. We have the Rock School doing a Paramore set where we have in writing that they are going to be doing only Paramore songs. That's going to be a ton of fun.
That popped me
Uh,
on the initial recording, and it popped me right now again.
and then we have a friend of the show, Flo Petit, is going to be doing a Mitski cover set. So
Bitsky.
I'm
Yeah.
very excited. That should be fun. And then we have a rando that emailed us and says, "Hey, I moved here to Frederick with my partner. I've been doing covers. She's got a really sweet voice. Her name is Sarah Donnelly, and so Sarah is going to be playing a Casey Musgrave set, and I'm pretty excited because
Oh.
um, I would love to hear some High Horse. So." Colin, in our final seconds. Oh, and tickets are available wherever you get tickets, but just kidding. There'll be a link in the show notes because finding stuff is hard. But I think it's $5 um, in advance, $10 at the door, and you get a friendship bracelet. So there's a couple that you're going to see. One of them says, "Look what you made me brew," and it's going to be a ton of fun. So
And
Colin, I'm going to get one
yes, I
for
publicly
you.
asked you in the podcast, and nobody will ever hear. Please give me. I need a bracelet, or maybe I'll come. I'll have to pay to get in, but I'll
No,
come.
no, I'll put you on the guest list. It's
Oh,
it's the
thanks.
last one. So it should be.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's weird. I think if we knew we were going to stop when we were going to stop, this wouldn't be the last one. But who knows what will be in store for 2025.
Here's
But
the
anyway,
200 more episodes.
God bless. Uh,
Oh, I
bring
thought
us
you were gonna
out.
end it there. I thought you were gonna end it there. I was
I,
pumped.
c-
No,
I
that
could.
no, no, no. It's hey, happy November. It's outlandishly hot. I'm walking around town and it's 80 degrees and I have no business sweating even though I'm a fat person. Um, I will also say this, the reasons to feel good right now, at least in some part, is local art and music. And it really is. You can find somebody like Kenny, you can find somebody like Andrew, and Sam Powell even. These things are good. Let them make you happy, feel a little bit better. And I guess that's all. Hubie's crying, so I don't want to leave him crying.
Love you. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back with Demetrius next week. Bye.
The Could Be Better podcast is recorded somewhere with suspect Wi-Fi in the United States of America.
We've been without a studio for several decades, but have finally moved to the real estate where the talks tick and the West's yay.
What?
Actually, we're live now, but you're listening later. So please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and Blue Sky. And don't forget to check out our website for literally everything else at www.couldbebettermeh.com.
Also, pretty please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Or don't, and then let us continue believing what we're doing has purpose and meaning, and you like us. And
Plus, don't forget to check out all of our other podcasts exclusively within the Could Be Better Podcast Network, which includes just us for right now, as the other pods be sleeping.
hey, shout to Kiki, shout to Stitch, shout to my magnum opus ish. And hell, if all else fails, check out Smartless, because we were friends with Jason, Will, and Sean.
Wait, we know those guys?
Of course. Welcome to Arrested Development. I'm Colin McGuire.
And I'm Chris Perry. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, this always could be better.